And joining us on the broadcast this minute is a very special guest, defense expert Ratan Srivastava, joining us from New Delhi to delve deeper into all of those aspects. Thanks very much, sir, for speaking with us. Let me begin by asking you to break down for our viewers the various aspects of those discussions that are lined up over the next few hours. A lot of anticipation in the air, specifically when it comes to the defense acquisitions. If we were to talk about the significance of the Seahawk anti-submarine helicopters, that's a crucial part of those deliberations.
So, Molly, as you pointed out in the beginning of the show, that there are several deals lined up, deals as well as discussions lined up as far as defense is concerned when the president arrives in New Delhi after his visit to Ahmedabad and Agra. Of course, the first to be off the clock would be the MH-60R deal, which is supposed to have signed maybe almost a decade back, because I recollect it was almost done deal maybe in 2010, but it was taken off the block for reasons well known for the dispensation at that time. But MH-60R helicopters are required by the Indian Navy as of yesterday. So this has to be done, and it has to be done as soon as possible, because we need them to enhance our anti-submarine warfare and patrolling requirements in the Indian Ocean region. I would say that we should not look at MH-60R deal as a one-off deal. The relationship between India and United States has been going a sea change in the last 2 decades. From just about a few $100,000, the total defense trade is about $20 billion today. It has been instrumental in changing the large trade deficit that existed, and it has been able to reduce a lot of imbalance that existed as far as India enjoyed as far as the trade surplus was concerned. MH-60R is one. The other things that we should take into consideration are the deals which has happened earlier than this. So I would take the P-8 deal. The P-8 deal was the first deal that happened in which an aircraft which was sold to India was not even sold to any other NATO country at that point of time. It was sold only to Australia. From the P-8I deal, we move on to the C-17s, the Lockheed Martin C-130J Hercules, as well as the recent acquisition by the Indian Armed Forces of the Apache and the Chinook helicopters. So this is an ongoing process. It's a long continuation of series of steps which have taken place, starting from the time of Manohar Parrikar, when DTTI, the Defense Technology and Trade Initiative, began. Thereafter, the 2+2 ministerial dialogues and the military exercises. Military exercises play a very important role in instilling confidence in the weapon being used by the partner country. We used to have one military exercise called Yuddh Abhyas, which has been happening for the last almost 17, 18 years. But it has taken a completely new threshold when we are doing Tiger Triumph, which is a tri-services exercise in which all three arms, the Army, Navy, and Air Force, participate alongside the American forces. And this is something that we must see as a complete picture, not only a MH-60R or a Nissan, or, moving forward, as you said, maybe the F-21. We do not know about that. So we should look at the big picture, I would say.
All get up for that grand reception. He says the president speaking out before departing for India. He will touch down in Ahmedabad tomorrow. Just a few hours to go. Ratan Srivastava, defense expert, has been with us to delve deeper into the multiple aspects of that visit. The countdown has well and truly already begun, Ratan Srivastava. If I were to take a cue from what you were mentioning earlier, when we have already broken down the significance of the Seahawk anti-submarine helicopters deal, which will be a crucial part of those discussions. If we were to also talk about how the US is expected to also bring up the purchase of the F-21 combat jets, what do you think India's stance is on that defense acquisition at this point?
So, Molly, as I was saying, that this is a continuation of a process that has started almost 2 decades back. I think
Yes.
this process precedes the Trump administration and maybe starts from the time of President Bush, who well and truly put the India-America relationship on a path which has been followed by several presidencies later on, including Obama administration. So, F-21 was offered by Lockheed Martin as a replacement of as an aircraft with the multi-role combat aircraft competition that is going to happen. But then we must note that during the MMRCA, Lockheed Martin had not participated. It was only Boeing which was participating. And in this new competition, where Boeing and Lockheed Martin are both participating, it makes it very interesting because we have two major American companies trying to give their major technology platforms to India with significant production in-house happening in India. Both companies are offering production in India. F-21, of course, has Lockheed Martin has been very vocal in giving out a detailed roadmap of what they would like to do with their India partners should F-21 be chosen by the Indian Air Force. But I think this race is yet to begin. Maybe the requirement of the Indian Navy for the aircraft, so the aircraft carrier may precede this competition. And in that, the Boeing is, of course, offering the F-A-18 Super Hornet Mark III. So that is something which should be also very interesting, even before the race heats up for the multi-role combat aircraft, which Lockheed Martin is offering, of course.
Right, and one of the sticking points, if I may, between India and the US when it comes to the defense partnership has been how Washington was earlier irked by New Delhi's purchase of the S-400 missile air defense system from Russia. But having said that, would you agree that the equation between the two sides has moved beyond that aspect and has seen an upward trajectory, at least when it comes to the relationship between the two sides over the last few years? And be it the S-400 deal or be it the very fact that Washington has not so far been that willing to part with technology for India's indigenous defense industry, those are the hurdles and the sticking points which remain. But in the larger scheme of things, we've seen an upward trajectory.
You're right, Molly. In the larger scheme of things, we've seen an upward trajectory. And we do not know how America would react to the S-400 Triumph acquisition as and when it happens. But the United States has shown bipartisan support to India, which when I say bipartisan support, the Capitol, both from the Democratic side and the Republicans, have been very encouraging as far as support for India is concerned, because it seems that America has realized that in the pivot for Asia and the dominance of the Indian Ocean region, India has to be their partner. India has to be their strategic partner. If India has to be their strategic partner, they have to partner with India on all platforms, whether it is international diplomacy, it's weapons, it's trade, as well as, of course, trying to curtail or contain the influence of China in the Indian Ocean region, Pacific, and especially in the South China Sea. Especially in the South China Sea, because India has been able to forge some very good relationships with Vietnam, Indonesia, Singapore, Philippines to an extent, and has been able to make a Quad, that is India, US, Japan, and now joined by Australia, to secure the Indian Ocean region and the Pacific region as a free rules-based international free for navigation international route. So that is something which is very top on the mind of the American policymakers. So I think, again, as I said, India is crucial to the US plans for containing the Chinese influence in the region. How they would behave or react if India goes in for S-400 is something we really cannot say at this point of time. But I can take our viewers back to the example of Iran. Despite all the sanctions that US has imposed on Iran, and Iran has been, of course, a bugbear for for America, but it has allowed India to use Chabahar port. That is extremely important. It is important from the point of view of how US sees India as a major strategic partner. And Chabahar is going to be used by India as a land route for crucial supplies and maintenance of the Indian aid as well as international trade to Afghanistan, especially in the view of the current situation in Afghanistan, where America is trying to broker a peace deal, which possibly should be signed on the February 29th, which will give Taliban some kind of a toehold in the administration. So this is something that we need to keep in mind, that there has been leniency, as far as I can say, between from the American policymakers for India. How S-400 is going to be dealt is something that we have to see. It could test the resolve, I would say.
Very interesting, and several layers to that relationship, as you're telling us. We're going to leave it there for the moment, though. Ratan Srivastava, appreciate very much joining us with those perspectives.